There we go. Sent to a third party.
Yep. All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Area 51 Racing Podcast. This is episode 49. Tonight we have dirt racer Craig Mintz with us tonight, and also Michelle Nagai, who is a Trans Am Series race car driver. Joining me right now is Craig. How's it going, Craig?
Doing well. I appreciate you having me on the show, and looking forward to having a good night.
Well, that's good. Sorry, we had a little bit of rough start. For some reason, YouTube didn't stream automatically the first time we started, so we're gonna have a little bump in the road here and restart. But I appreciate your patience with me and the viewers. So you, like I was saying earlier, is you're our first dirt race car driver guest that we've had on our podcast. So we officially have went into the dark side of racing, so to say, to the dirt side. That a lot of people that race asphalt or follow asphalt don't really know a lot about the dirt side of racing. So so tonight I was just gonna ask, how did you get your start in racing and when?
Yeah, so my dad started in motocross with AMA and flat track. I enjoyed going to a lot of the races, but mom was not having the two wheels, so it had to be four wheels. So started go-karts probably when I was 4 or 5. Raced regionally for a little while. Then I followed the World Karting Association. Then I switched to more of the European style shifter karts. Just wasn't really going to take me anywhere. So got lucky in the year 1999. I traded everything that I had to a gentleman who had sprint car stuff, and he wanted to go the opposite way. So it worked out perfect. And in 99 and 2000 season and early, we started our sprint car career in the 305 class, which is sort of like a support division for sprint cars. They're identical race cars, just with a more of an economic version to them, a little bit cheaper to run, no titaniums, and it has 305 cubic inches versus 410 cubic inches. So started that, ran that for 2 years to kind of get my feet wet and understand it, and then been racing 410s ever since. And 25 years later, here we are.
That's awesome, and you've had a lot of success during your career in the dirt racing world. Your home track is Fremont Speedway in Ohio. Um, your most recent win there was September 24th or 21st of this year. You won the Fort Ball Pizza Palace 410 Wing Sprint A Main, and that was your 18th career feature win at the track. What is makes that track so successful for you? What brings the best out of you at that track?
I've raced there a lot. I mean, for 25 years, that's been my home, so there's a lot, and it's not an easy place. And you can ask the guys, Carson Macedo, Christopher Bell, those World of Outlaw guys that come in, that place is not easy. Just because it's shaped differently, it's pretty tight. If it slicks off, it's hard to get a hold of. And we've taken some pretty good notes, and lap times help. Anytime you're on the racetrack, laps help with anybody, no matter if it's dirt, pavement, or any of that. So that's probably been a number one thing, is the amount of laps that I've got there. So to say that, with and you can toss in Attica, because we probably have the same amount of laps at that place as well, considering they're only about 20 minutes from one another. So it's been nice to have success at both places, but I would contribute a lot of that success to experience and understanding what it's going to do before it happens.
So Fremont's a third mile dirt oval, they say, but you said it's more like is it closer to like a Martinsville like Speedway where it's a tighter
No,
corners, or is it?
it's just and any of our viewers, and when you get done with this, jump on like a Google Earth or Google Maps, and just type in Fremont Speedway and Attica Raceway Park and any of these dirt tracks. You're gonna see they're not perfect ovals. Entrance into one at Fremont's pretty tight, but the exit coming off of two is pretty wide. Now the exit or the entrance into three is pretty wide, but the exit A 4 is pretty tight. So it's kind of an odd egg shaped kind of scenario. It's still a third. It's on the smaller side of a third. But you know, they're just every racetrack you go to has its little characteristics of being a little bit different and how you want to attack it. And I think that's kind of what it's the difference is with dirt and pavement. Now I know pavement has its fair share of oblong racetracks and stuff of that nature, but you know, you find it more so in a dirt track because it changes by, I'd say nightly, but it also changes over decades because the dirt moves. You know, and it does sometimes make the track bigger. It makes it longer throughout the season because the banking starts wearing down, gets a little flatter, but you know, it's amazing to see that over the course of, you know, the year and the decades.
So, like with the tire compounds, are you limited to what you can run at those tracks?
Yes,
Or
we have a national spec tire.
okay,
The World of Outlaws, the High Limit, and a lot of the local racetracks here in Ohio, we run a spec right rear tire. Now, we have a choice between two right rear compounds, a softer one and a harder one. But 99.9% of the drivers will run the softer one anyway, because it's already pretty hard. And left rears all have to be the same. Now they're different sizes, obviously. That's a massive difference between the dirt and the pavement stuff of it. I mean, when we were running pavement, them 2 or 3 times, we were talking, you know, we were worried about quarters of inches and half inches. When you get into dirt, you're worried about just inches. You know, you're going all the way up to 13, 14 inches of stagger.
oh wow.
Is a lot. You know, but that's our norm. You know, we start at 13, 14 inches and you're never below 10. So, you know, we're not worried about quarters of inches. We're more worried about the whole number when it comes to that.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about the stagger because, like asphalt, I was on a race team for some years, a late model asphalt team, and they raced across the Midwest. And stagger for us was always below 2 inches, depending
Yep.
on the size of the track. And if it was above that, then something was wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always wondered. I knew the tires were different on the dirt tires, the sprint cars, but I didn't realize that they were that much difference. That's a lot.
Yeah, they're massive, but you need that really to have, you know, how tight things are to help that car rotate. You know, with the slick surface and you know, when it gets real grippy, you know, early on in the night, you're really gonna have that as you need that thing to turn. And that stagger helps that.
So besides the stagger in a sprint car, you're able to adjust the front wing,
Just the top wing.
just the top wing. Okay,
Yep. So
so
we can
just the top wing.
Yeah, we cannot go up and down, but we can go back. We can go forward and back, so we can change the center of gravity,
Okay.
or where the center of that weight gets pushed down. So if you want more grip, or you need more, you know, bite coming off the corner, you'll move that back to get the weight over the center of the axle farther. And we can do that while we're racing. We don't need a caution to do that. But yeah, it's just a small valve. 99% of the drivers have it on their left side of the race car. Just it's hydraulic, runs right off the fuel pump, runs a hydraulic pump behind that, and it's pretty simple.
So other than that, on track adjustment, that's it. Otherwise, you whatever your setup is, that's what it is for the race then, or
Yeah,
the or whatever.
yeah, we have no other setup or setup adjustments. They did just make a rule for 2025 that we will have one shock adjuster through High Limit. I don't know if World of Outlaws are going to do that, take into effect of that or not, but we can then adjust one shock only, and that's it. But other than that, when you push out, is what you get is what you get. So having a good crew, having a good crew chief, and understanding what the racetrack's going to do, you know, because when we've run pavement, I didn't see a massive change between lap 1 and maybe lap 50. Besides maybe a little rubber, but nothing more crazy. But dirt can change drastically in 30 laps, let alone 50. So You got to be prepared. You want to be good early and try to run and hide, or do you want to be good? And then the other aspect that sprint cars are really struggling with right now is dirty air. We've made these cars so aerodynamically, I want to call it challenged, because when we're in dirty air, it reacts completely different than when you're not. And we're creating sort of a Formula One effect. To when what we do is we'll just get spread out, all 24 of us along the racetrack, and we can't pass one another. There's no good answer to how we're going to fix this yet, but there's some brilliant minds that are coming up with some better options. And we're still creating great racing. Don't get me wrong. But the days of starting 22nd and winning are over. That used to happen in the 90s and 2000s quite a bit. It doesn't have, I mean, I think the average winning position, I think last year or the year before was like 4.5. That's where they started. And we got to get that to 8, 9 to create the show, create the content, or create the show that these, the fans spend their hard-earned money on and want to see.
So, I mean, it's similar then. It sounds like the new gen Cup car, the aero issue it sounds like the same thing, because they have issues passing, especially the short tracks. It seems like intermediates have been the best racing for that series, and it's the same thing. They're trying to figure out that whole thing too.
Yeah.
I didn't really realize that the dirty air thing was that big of a deal with sprint cars, I guess. But it makes sense though.
We move a lot of air. We may not be we're a lot smaller than obviously a Cup car, but we're less aerodynamic in theory. But we have this big, the big foil on our top of our wing that's moving all this air. And you get on the intermediates of like the NASCAR things and a half mile, that they're massive. We're doing all this air movement in a quarter mile and a 3/8 mile, and it's just creating such a big turbulent issue. And a lot of guys, it's not a big deal, but some of the changes that they're working on, like this right rear shock adjustment, and some of that is maybe to help that scenario. We don't have a DRS system like Formula One, but I think it's a lot of minds coming. It's just the revolving of the race cars. The race cars are lack of better terms, cookie cutter. You're not building these cars anymore. You're going out, buying the parts, bolting them on, and now everybody has that. So now what is the deciding factor? The drivers are getting so good that that's not even the deciding factor anymore. So, we've made these cars like basically IROC cars back in the day, and we're wanting more passing, and it's a challenge.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've been to some dirt races, and you can see the vortex. Yep. With all the dust going around. I mean, it looks like a tornado almost at times.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
So you have raced not only at Fremont and I can't remember the name of the other track that you said
Attica.
Attica.
Yep.
Sorry, thank you. Attica. But you've raced with the World of Outlaws. You've said previously. And you've also raced with the Fast on Dirt series, where you've won 3 championships and been the runner-up twice. In that, it sounds like you have had success not only at your local tracks, but at on a national level touring at different tracks.
Yeah, I mean, we've been good. We've been competitive. Locally, we've won some championships, and we've done we've done well. We've been there where we need to be, and it's contest to my guys. My crew guys are amazing. Chris Hartzell and Rich Whitty and my dad. They bust their butt to give me a good car. We don't have DNFs. To be consistent up front, you can't have those, and those guys work their butt off. And you add into, there's a lot more that goes into the racing aspect of it. My wife and my kids, they sacrifice a lot to let me do what I'm doing. And then the spouses of even the race, my race team allows them to do that. So, we've raced at, I would say, every racetrack in Ohio we've raced at. I've raced at probably 90% or all of the racetracks in Michigan dirt wise. I've raced in a lot in Indiana, Illinois, um, Pennsylvania, Williams Grove, Lincoln, Port, places like that. We've raced. So we've raced out. We went to Florida for Speed Week down there a couple times. I've had a good career of going and seeing new places. I enjoy doing that yet. So my next couple years before I retire, it's definitely going to be let's go out and have some fun and go find some races that we haven't raced before. Like get up in Wisconsin and places like that.
Yeah, I was just going to say that like Beaver Dam Speedway here in Wisconsin,
Yep.
they supposedly were going to shut it down, but then I just saw that they just announced some big dirt race uh, later this in
Uh,
2025.
yep.
So that was a staple I know with the World of Outlaws. I know Wilmot Speedway, they would race there also. That's close by me here in Wisconsin. There's Cedar, I think it's Cedar Lakes or
Yep.
something like that. They race there as well. And Plymouth, I think, is the other dirt track here in Wisconsin that they race at. But yeah, there's a lot of like we were talking before, the difference between dirt and asphalt is the car counts and the payout. It's like crazy compared to asphalt, what dirt gets for payout and car counts. And I don't know the reason why that is. I don't know if it's because of more people enjoy that type of racing, or I guess I don't know. I don't know you as somebody in the industry that's been you know for what 20 years or whatever you said you had been racing. Have you seen an evolution of
Well, I mean, it
the
used to
sport?
be really popular or more popular a while back, and I think it's just kind of a dying scenario. One, I believe there's less racetracks that do it. In Ohio, I know of 7, 8, 9 dirt tracks. So and I can only name you probably 3 or 4 pavement. Now, I don't know the little ones in those, but you're right. I mean, the payout for that is a struggle. But who's to blame on that? Is that the promoters? Is that the series problems? I know USAC for one point had midgets and sprint cars and all these other things. And honestly, I don't even know if they do that stuff anymore. And the sprint cars, when we build ours, I think a lot of it is we took a pavement, a dirt sprint car and ran with the pavement guys. We had there was some dirt on it. We didn't have anything special, and we competed. And I look at some of these race cars that some of these guys got, and there's more gadgets on them. And it's not their fault, but at some point you got to look at yourself and say, okay, I'm gonna have $100,000 race car and only gonna race for $1,200. Something's not right there. But we as race car drivers and race car teams we don't look at that anymore. We just say what does it cost to go fast? And the cost of going fast is going up. But even in the dirt world, honestly, besides the World of Outlaws, besides the high limit, unless you go to these big races like at Eldora or Knoxville, where to be honest with you, guys like me, we have zero chance and we don't belong there. Like Knoxville, maybe Eldora, we don't belong there. We don't have the equipment. I don't have the motors. And yeah, it's amazing because it shows at 200,000 to win and 1,000 to 10,000 to make the show. But over the course of probably 5 years, I only know of 1 or 2 locals that have ever made it. And it's not to say that those guys aren't very good or the locals aren't good. Well, there's just that big of step. Now locally, our pay has gotten better. But you're looking at a 30 to 40% increase in tires over the last 3 years. Well, we haven't gotten a 30 or 40% raise in the purses. But guys, racetracks like Fremont, Attica have paid more money, but not very many more cars show up. So then we run into the issue of, okay, now we have too many racetracks in Ohio because we'll have on Friday night, there's only probably 2 or 3 racetracks in Ohio racing. Saturday night, I believe there's 4. And all 4 will have 20 to 30 cars, which is phenomenal. But at what point do you start paying people more money to get more cars, but they don't show up? So then as a promoter, you're just giving away money. So it's this chess game. And the pavement group, I would love to, see more money go into it, but I don't know what the true answer is.
Yeah, I really don't either. I mean, and I have a friend that's a promoter. Angel Park Speedway is another dirt track
Yep.
here in Wisconsin. And my friend, a friend of mine, Greg McCarnes, and his wife Angie own or they're promoters, I guess, of Angel Park, but they own Madison International Speedway, which is a asphalt half-mile
Oh,
asphalt track. And you know, I guess that's a question I should ask him. I'd love to try to get him to come on our podcast. He's a wealth of information, racing knowledge, and stuff. But yeah, it's just interesting to me how the tracks are unfortunately dying off. Asphalt, dirt, which is sad, but the discrepancies, I shouldn't say the discrepancies, the differences in the payouts and the car counts is between dirt and asphalt is just blows my mind sometimes how um, different it is. But either way, any racing is good racing to
yes.
me. That to keep the sport alive, 100% for it. I know at times I complain about NASCAR and some of the stuff they do, but it's just because I'm a diehard fan and been a lifelong fan of racing, and I wanted to want to see it to continue on and succeed, and have the history be shared, with other generations to keep the sport alive. And that's part of the reason why we do this podcast is, to expose people that don't get the attention,
Yep.
that they deserve. It's all about the cup drivers and all these other series drivers and pit crews and sponsors and all that. They don't get the coverage they deserve. They're the a lot of it is they're the backbone of make the sport work. So that's what we're doing and have been doing. We continue to plan on doing that in the future. So, but speaking of the future, what are your plans for 2025?
2025 is going to be, man, kind of similar to what I did last year. Just hit and miss. With probably 20 to 30 races. For us, that's beneficial for me. I got 3 kids. 2 of them are, one of them's grown. 2 of them are getting older. So we camp a lot, enjoy that kind of thing. But we'll travel. I'd like to get out to Knoxville again. And there's some kind of new things rolling around. The All Stars are talking about coming back. So when I see their schedule, that'll kind of help decide, what I want to do. It's really early in the ball game right now for, kind of scheduling on that aspect of it. So once I see some more of those, but for me to go full time and run 50, 60 races, it's never going to happen. And with my business and my kids and wanting to enjoy life a little bit, that grind gets to you about August, and it turns it from fun to a chore or a job, and it's not why I do it.
Yeah, I can imagine. I should say I can't imagine like Kyle Larson, the amount of racing that he does, and at the level that he does, the high level that he races at. I don't know how he doesn't get burned out, and maybe he does, but he doesn't show it.
Yeah, the other aspect to him though is that's his living, like yeah, that's his job.
Right. Well, that's true.
If you could take our 40-hour work weeks out, and my income to my house and then my income to put food on a plate for my wife and my kids was because I had to go racing, I'd be I'd be in a race car every day if I could. So that's it. But you're right. Even at that level, you got to get to a point to where you're burnt out. But guys like him who are once in a generation race car driver, those guys don't get burnout. They're that good. They enjoy it that much. They're winning. They're running up front. So when you're running up front, it's easy to do it. So it's really cool to see guys like that because again, I tell my wife and the people that I'm around that Kyle's a once in a lifetime, guy. Now, luckily, over the course of my lifetime, I've seen a couple. but how many more do we got? And when does that dry up a little bit? We're spoiled because I've got to watch Tony Stewart, and Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell comes to mind. Those guys can wheel anything.
And speaking of, uh, he didn't race sprint cars that I'm aware of, but dirt late models, the great Scott Bloomquist,
Yep.
who recently passed away. What do you think the impact is going to be on the World of Outlaws or dirt racing in general, without Bloomer, being on track?
I don't know. Bloom was definitely an icon. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I think he made a lot of impressions in a lot of people that I really think will carry on. And if not, I think it'll actually propel it, because the guys that and the women that he has touched and helped aren't gonna want to let him down. So, I don't want to say that it made it better because, we all want to see Bloom on a racetrack, but, that is a guy that, one was unfiltered and we loved it, but
Mm-hmm.
he touched a lot of people and guided them in the right direction, and even in the sprint car world. And, I think that we'll always have that one missing part, but I think again, we're going to have some people coming up in the late model world that are going to take after him. And I think it's not a replacement. That's not what I mean, but it's that kind of a void to help fill that heart. I think that we all miss him, and we're going to, but we have to move forward. We can't go backwards, obviously. And the dirt late model world, that's a completely different world. But I tell you what, they're one big family, and there are a whole boatload of.
Yeah, I was, and one of the things I was also referring to with him being missed is his freaking ingenuity on how to make one of those cars go faster. I don't know if it was the Dale Jr. download that he was on, or it was some podcast I listened to, and he talked about how he came up with different tricks for the suspension to make his dirt car go faster. And it was just unbelievable how smart the guy was and the ingenuity that he came up with. And that part of it, like sharing that, I think probably would have an impact
You're
in some way on
Yeah,
the
you're
sport.
definitely right. And again, he's in that same boat where I think I kind of touched on it is in some people that were around him, he shared that information with and shared that desire. Because if you were around him a lot, you kind of, I don't want to say morphed into him, but had that you had that same mindset of yeah, we won tonight, but how do we win like how do we go faster? What can we do? And what we're not afraid to try something. And I think that was what I think he taught a lot of people is we're not afraid to think outside the box or be outside the box. And in many cases, that's what made him so fast.
Yeah, exactly. He was always in that gray area or in the black area just outside that gray area.
Got it.
But and another somebody in your world, Brian Clausen, another one that sadly lost his life. Really good racer. That a lot of drivers obviously were friends with him, um, and he's missed in the world of racing as well.
Yeah, there's
Um,
a lot of guys that come right off the top of my head. Brian Clausen's one of them. Jason Johnson's another.
yep.
Those are two guys that when I was growing up racing, I looked up to those guys. And they're gone, and they're gone way too soon. But again, they left kind of a legacy. There's a Brian Clausen's suite at the Knoxville National,
Knoxville, yeah.
and his parents are deeply involved in it. And Jason Johnson has his own team. Even after he's gone. I mean,
The
as
Raging Cajun,
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I guy myself, owning a race team. If something were to ever happen to me and I could be up there and I look down and my race team's still going and it's successful, man, I really got a gleam of hope. That's something that you show that how many people wanted to carry on your legacy because of how you carried yourself or what you did while you were here. And I think that's a lot of things that we need to look at as a group, as everybody that's around us, make that mark of why you're here, because you never know. And you want people to remember you for the good things you did, and to be able to carry that, kind of thing on.
So a couple other questions. Bobby wanted me to ask you, did you ever race at Oakshade Speedway in Ohio?
I've never raced there. They did do many years ago, and I don't know if they still do it. You could rent the racetrack for about 150 bucks. And we used to do some test and tunes there, but I also took a couple moments and put my crew guys in the car, let them feel what I would feel, and was something that was really cool. I've been there and watched a couple races every now and then, but never actually competed in a full race there, but I have made laps around that place.
Yeah, I actually got to see that the track. Bobby's dad's passed away a few months ago, and I went to his celebration of life. It was probably like 3 weeks ago or so, and he took me to Oakshade
Yes.
Speedway to show me, and it was a cool little dirt track.
Yeah, not too far, about an hour from me, hour and 10 minutes
Yeah,
or so. Yeah, it's not known for sprint cars. But again, they used to do that, which was phenomenal because we don't get practice sessions.
yeah.
So for us to be able to go over there and do some testing, and my guys loved it because they get to try something out. So that was I always looked forward to that. We haven't done it in a while though, but yeah. So it's Oakshade. It's well known around these parts.
That's awesome to give your pit crew guys a reward, guys and
Yeah.
gals, or a reward for working so hard to make your car look good and go fast on the track to let
Yep.
them experience it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they've always enjoyed it, and I want them to feel what I feel. So when I maybe can't explain it, they can also understand what I'm feeling.
Yeah, I mean that's actually pretty genius because you don't have spotters in
Nope.
the dirt world, so you can't be doing feedback to your spotter or your crew chief saying, "Hey, I'm loose in, tight center,
Yep.
loose off, or whatever." So yeah, I could understand that. The other thing is your business. You own your own business. Real Goose Decoys,
Yeah. So real geese decoys.
or I'm sorry, Real
Oh,
Geese Decoys.
you're good. We get it all the time. Trust me. We're one of the number one manufacturers of decoys for silhouettes for the waterfowl industry. So find us on Amazon. You can find us on our website. But it's kind of a little niche if you're in the hunting aspect of it and you're in the waterfowl. You've probably heard of us. Been around 30 some years. And then one of our other business that's kind of an umbrella, kind of all works together is the printing industry. So agricultural. So you're driving down the road and you see a bunch of signs that have a bunch of numbers on them. We call them plot signs. We print for almost 2/3 of the country. So there's quite a bit of signs that go in and out. Do a lot of wraps, car wraps, trailer wraps, standard printing. We print for the airline industry. So we're very diverse. So my day is never boring. And it's always it's nice and keeps me on my toes.
Well, I appreciate it, Craig. One last question before I let you go. What social media platforms are you on so that if anybody is listening wants to check you out or see where you're racing next, or if you have hero cards or merch or whatever, where they can get a hold of you?
You can find me on Facebook. That's the one I'm most active on. I do have a Twitter, and I do have Instagram. Just type in Craig Mintz, and there's not very many of us. My name's not very common. So you'll find me. And we'll update a lot of stuff on my racing stuff. And if you have questions or you want shirts or you want a hero card or whatever, just direct message me. I can send it out pretty easily. If you want to come to the races in Ohio or want to go some dirt tracks, or you're from Ohio and just never met me before, don't be afraid to stop down at the races, say hi, and grab a shirt, and we'll have some fun.
And then one other thing I thought of, what would you say to somebody that's young, that's getting into the sport, that wants to race in dirt? What would you advise them to do for a career, like if they want to do it for a career?
Well, first one is go to the racetrack and enjoy it. The other part of it, there's a couple of different routes you can go. Is one, go work on a team, and then you'll see the insides. If they've already raced before, sprint cars or go karts things, they already know it. But the amount of work that goes in a week, a lot of people don't see, and they think they just throw them in a trailer. We go home, wash them off, we throw them back in, and it's completely the opposite. So to know that you really want it is being on one of those race teams and it's midnight on a Sunday and you're still working on it to get it ready for the next week. That's when you know you love it. The sport's expensive. So only buy things that you need that'll benefit you in a long run. Treat it like a business. Do the things that that people around you are guiding you. Don't be afraid to ask for help. In that aspect of it. The other things that are coming along that has been helpful for the younger guys is Fremont and Attica, and it's Fremont Speedway Education. So they've actually have a school. You can look them up on social media. It's just Fremont Speedway Education. I think Google that will get you close. And they have classes like sit-in classrooms where you can learn how to be in a maintenance client, learn how to set them up. They have a whole engine program. They even have a deal now where they do an education with drivers, so they'll put you in a car, and you can see if you like it. It's a pretty cool deal. It's fairly new, within a year or two. Mike Linder and Steven Linder run that. But the knowledge that they can gain from that, and it's very economic for what you're getting. It's not like I'm almost giving a shameless plug here, but that for what the younger guys coming in, or even a guy that in the middle of it that wants to do this, if you want to see you like it, get your hands dirty, and really get into it. And don't just go to your local speed shop, buy a bunch of stuff, and show up. Because I feel like you'll struggle and you won't enjoy it like you're supposed to. And if anybody has any questions like that, feel free to reach out. I'm on, my phone's with me all the time if I need to, and I can answer any questions ever related to that.
Well, Craig, I really appreciate the time you spent with us tonight. I wish you a great 2025 racing season, and hopefully we'll have you back on as a guest, and you can tell us about your continued career in the dirt racing world, and hopefully a championship or a bunch of race wins, whatever.
We'll look forward to those days, and I appreciate it. And thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Thanks. Have a great night, and happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Take care.
Thanks. Take care. Bye. Wow, that was a great interview with Craig Mintz, our first actual dirt race car driver on our podcast. That segment 1 was brought to you by Alliance Driveway Solutions. We're going to transition to our second guest, who is a Trans Am Western Championship Series driver and Rookie of the Year, Michelle Nagy of the Pirelli Trans Am XGT class, who races the number 72 Chevy Camaro. I'm going to bring her in now. Well, hopefully we're going to bring her in now. While we're waiting, oh, here we go. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, we got it.
All right. Sorry about that. It's been one of those nights of technical difficulties. I started out and for some reason it wasn't recording to YouTube, so I had to start over again. And so it's just been a calamity of errors, I guess, tonight. But good information being talked about and shared tonight. So, yeah, segment 2. Michelle Nagy, who is a Trans Am Series race car driver. She races the 72 Chevy Camaro in the XGT class. Michelle, when and how did you get started in racing?
Well, it really all started when I was a kid with my dad, hanging around in the shop. My dad was a drag racer. One thing led to another, from drag racing to boat racing to road racing. So kind of a family deal.
So did you drag race and boat race too, or?
I didn't get to drag race. I was too young. I was just real little. I'm talking from the time I was born till maybe 10. So,
Oh, okay.
they like the little things, clean things, wheels, that sort of stuff. But the
Yeah.
fun part was in offshore boat racing. I did get to do that with my father. We had 26-foot sangers to 40-foot capsule skater boats. And we do that out in Redondo Beach, Oceans, mostly out in the Bay Area here in San Francisco Bay and in Southern Cal.
Oh, that must be like an adrenaline rush to be racing a boat like that. I apologize to our viewers. For some reason, are you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. We're up in the foothills and I just saw you spinning.
Oh, that's okay. It locked up on my side, so I was just gonna say it's just gonna continue tonight, I guess. I don't know what it is. But whatever. I was saying that racing those boats has got to be an adrenaline rush.
Oh my God.
I can't even imagine that how fast they go from what I've seen on TV.
Right.
And bouncing around over those waves and everything. That's just cool.
It was the adrenaline rush, and that's what kept us doing it. We were all so young back then. We didn't have any fear in it. Now I think we think twice.
Yeah, I would say when you're younger, you are like think you're immortal and fearless. And once you start getting a little older, you realize, nah, not so much.
Yeah,
you get a little smarter. Yeah. So racing in the Trans Am series, so like if you're racing NASCAR, you have to have a license. Do you have to have a license to race in the Trans Am series?
You do. You go through the SCCA, Sports Car Club of America, and you set up a professional license between the physical driving schools and whatnot that led up to it. Now just experience was enough to run Trans Am series with me. Got over 20 years on and off of racing and road course races. So the biggest thing with Trans Am is the West Coast is a little bit of a smaller series. The bigger national series is, it gets a little bit better TV time, but we're working on the West Coast with MAV TV. So we might get some airtime this year.
Well, that's good. I do know MAV TV does Madera Speedway in California. They cover the weekly racing at that short track there. So that'd be good. That would be good if they did cover the Trans Am Western series.
Yeah, and I think we got a good shot at it come end of April and beginning of May. We have back-to-back races at Sonoma Raceway, formerly Sears Point, of course, and Laguna Seca, WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. And the good thing with that is the National Series has made that part of their scheduling for the East Coast. So they'll all be out here with the big bad boy cars and for us to race with.
Oh, that's awesome. And those are two legendary tracks.
Yes.
In racing. So
they're my hometown track. So we're excited about that.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So what exactly, the Trans Am Racing Series is a form of racing, but it's more like, I guess, a streetcar looking race car that has been, I guess, modified to race. And there's different classes in the Trans Am series. I guess probably should allow you to explain it better than me trying to explain it.
They are purpose-built chassis, the cars that we race. They literally have NASCAR technology in these new, and it's not XGT class any longer. It is now called the T8 Cup class, which is going to allow us to run bigger motor program, higher speeds, and be able to compete in the cars that I have now, built by Chris Evans Chassis and Jeff Jefferson Racing out of Washington and Oregon, to compete with the biggest of the TA cars, or Dreeses and Nards and those kind of guys, where our power bounds would be way more sufficient.
So with this new engine package, what are we talking about for horsepower?
Shoot, we're looking at my Chevy. I run the R07. Ford runs their version of that, and Dodge as well. But we're looking at, I believe, I just talked to my motor builder, Dennis Borum at PME, Pro Motors Racing Engines, and we're looking around 860 to 875, depending on which motor I've got in the car.
Wow, that's awesome.
Ton
I
of
think that
horsepower.
actually might be more horsepower than an actual NASCAR Cup car has now. I could be wrong, but I
It's
think it
possible.
is.
I don't know what Cup has now anymore. They
Yeah,
run sequential gearboxes for crying out loud. So I don't know what they're doing.
yeah. And Trans Am, you guys do not run a sequential gearbox, right?
Well, the TA, the bigger Trans Am cars, like I mentioned, Menards and whatnot, they
Yeah.
can run a no blip sequential gearbox, anything but paddle shifters. I run a traditional 4-speed H pattern, what's it called, a G-force gearbox. They're strong enough, but it's a little old school. Just keeps the cost way down.
Yeah, you just got to be careful on the clutch, I guess,
No
downshifting and
clutch. At least
upshifting
there's
and
no clutch. All of our downshifts are clutchless and upshifts as well. We just have to lift, but we gotta match our RPMs
match the RPM.
right, or you will destroy things.
Oh, okay. Well, that I just learned something new. I did not realize that.
Yep, match those RPMs.
Yeah. So okay, so you on July 22nd, 2023, you got your first overall win in the Pirelli Trans Am XGT class, Western Championship race at Portland International Raceway. You started last and you won the race.
Yeah.
First off, how much of a challenge was it to overcome starting at dead last in the field to end up winning the race? And then number two, what'd you do to celebrate that? Because that's one hell of a feat.
Well, the biggest challenge, I'll be honest with you, that day was the heat. You wouldn't think Portland, Oregon would be hot, and it was hot as heck. 90 plus
Actually, it's
degrees.
raining.
Humid, right? I know that's the next
Yeah.
fear in racing. Try to avoid that as well. But no, it was hot as heck. We pulled the car down since then, but being that I just bought the car and got in and I hadn't done the creature comforts yet, so I was cooking in there a little bit. But the reality of it was we qualified well, and I made a little error in qualifying, so I got put to the back. So I knew I had a fast car, and I knew I had a car that was just going to rip. So I just put my head down and went. Before I knew it, I think by lap 17, we were hanging on the leader's door and in the lead. So we won that deal, yeah.
And that's pretty impressive because, I mean, you're road course racing, so it's not like it's a straightaway oval or anything like that. You're downshifting, upshifting, braking, so that's pretty impressive.
Right.
Yeah, left and right. I mean, that's impressive.
And the races are quite long. They're 75 minutes or 100 laps, whatever comes first kind of thing, depending on the track. So and no pit stops. It's just full on sprint race.
Right. And then do you guys have spotters or no?
Yes, okay. Absolutely have spotters. They're mandatory.
I assumed you did, but I didn't know for sure.
And some tracks are so blind, you have to. Like on one side of Laguna Seca, you don't know, you don't see us at all. So we put a spotter up corkscrew, one down in the main straight, turn 4, that kind of thing.
Okay. So the other thing is, you also that was also your first win since 2019 when you won your first TA2 class or your last TA2 class race. So that between, I guess, what was that, three years?
Yeah, it's been a few
years. 4 years. 4 years between wins. I guess, why did you change from the TA2 class to this current class that you're in now?
Yeah. Well, it really originated. 2019 was actually a Trans Am car, the big bore car, 850 horsepower, but it was older. So I had a little bit of a problem keeping up, and just the money I was dumping into it to be competitive was getting ridiculous. So we sold off that. Did get a TA2 car for about 2 years. We had some pretty decent runs in it. We didn't win in that, but we did run that Corvette before the Trans Am car. We had about 2 or 3 years where we were kind of moving around homes and shops and this and that. So we weren't racing a whole lot. Never really got a good hold on the TA2 car. And I never really cared for the power band. I hate to say it was more of a spec motor, a lot lower horsepower kind of momentum car. So in this TA Cup car, as they call it now, built by Chris Evans, came about. And Chris Evans I've known for, I don't know, a good 15 years running an additional stock car series with, we can talk about later. But knowing that the time and the efforts they had put into this program I said, I want to be a part of that because it's the next best thing to a full-size Trans Am car that's completely affordable to race and buy.
I mean, maybe that will be like a training series for younger drivers that are trying to transition into Cup series from like short track asphalt racing.
It is.
Because it
is.
sounds like it's close to a NASCAR type platform.
Yes, no, you look at the chassis of the car and you look and you think, gosh, that's very NASCAR looking, that chassis, because it is. But that's why it works so well as well with new technology they put in it. New technology meaning we don't have driver aids. Only thing we have is a brake bias, front and rear, and that's it. Everything else is really old school, other than a big downforce spring that helps us.
So you can't adjust a track bar or anything like that on the car. It's just
run what you got.
Wherever it's set, going. That's what you got.
That's it.
So the tires that you run on those cars, are they bias ply tires, or are they like the Hoosier type short track, like softer side tires where stagger? I guess I'm getting at, what is is there a stagger that you worry about with a Trans Am? No.
Believe it or not, we don't have to worry about stagger. We run all Pirelli radial tires. So they do have a little stiffer sidewall, a lot smaller sidewall. Gotta be a little careful on the curbs and whatnot, especially at low air pressures.
Right.
They are 13-inch slick. I would say they're about a medium compound and not real. They could be a little softer. Driver always wants more grip, but they do last the duration of the race, no problem.
And then, do you guys run in rain?
We do. I don't have a whole lot of rain experience, unfortunately, being on the West Coast. But yes, we have to if it happens.
Okay. Yeah, and that was what I was just going to say. How much of a challenge is it to run in the rain? Because
a lot.
I've seen, on videos on TV of NASCAR races where they're racing like at COTA, was it 3-4 years ago? And you couldn't even see the cars. Like the camera, it was raining so hard and there was so much spray. And I'm like, how the hell are they racing?
Sometimes you just can't, and they actually have to call the race. We had a situation at Laguna Seca, middle of May or beginning of May. Monsoon comes through there that has never happened ever. They still had to grid us up and try to take a pace lap. By time, and I was on the pole for that race. The time I got to turn 2 and be hairpin there, I couldn't even see the pace car.
Holy cow.
That's what I said. And a few other things.
I
So it was very nerve-wracking because you're leading all these guys around. They're following me. I'm looking out my side window to try to see where the track ends between dirt and asphalt, just to stay on the track to get back to pit lane. So when I pulled off, a handful of guys followed me, and then they finally called it because there was good 6 inches of rain on the track of puddles. It's crazy. So.
Yeah, I hydroplaning and stuff. I can't even imagine.
In the fog, with steam, you can't see that. Like you say, the fog into the windows, and we can prepare the car better, and I will for this year, knowing what can happen. So we'll be ready for some rain races.
Well, that's good. Good, I guess, but then again, hopefully it doesn't rain because that's a nightmare. Oh, we froze up again. Oh, you there?
Got your back.
All right, sorry, we froze up again. I wonder if it's the metal plate in my head that's cutting off the internet signal or something. I don't know. I apologize. So
it's okay.
So you had success this year in your car. You won a race at Sonoma, and you also set on the pole at Laguna Seca, I think it was.
Yeah.
And so what is this the first year that you've raced the GT Cup car, or is it a couple years that you've raced it, or oh, we're frozen again. You there?
I am.
Sorry, we froze up again.
I'm waiting for it. I'm ready now.
Okay. No, I was just going to ask. So you had the success this year in your GT Cup car. You got the pole, and then you won a race.
2 races, I think, maybe 3.
Or
But
was it
either
2
way,
races?
Yeah, we had
Okay,
Thunderhill
so
at the end.
2 races. You won 2. I'm sorry, you won 2 races,
No
and you
worries.
got the pole. So, how many years have you raced this current GT Cup car?
Yeah. So 20, 20
We just froze up again.
yeah, I'll wait for you.
You there?
Yep, we're back.
All right.
Yeah. No, we're talking about, go back to that question.
So no, how long have you been? How
Yeah.
long you've been racing the
Yeah.
cup, the TA
I
Cup?
bought that TA Cup car from Chris in the end of 2022. So that 2023 was good. We had about 3 races we got, and we got 4 more last year, and had the success we did. We missed the final 2 races, which killed my championship hopes just because of timing and work and real life. Let's face it, sometimes. So we missed the trip out to Dakota, Texas. But next year, everything's looking real solid and in place. And I believe we have a really good shot at that TA Cup championship.
Oh, we froze up again. See if we can get this to work. For some reason, she keeps freezing up.
Mhm.
You there?
Yeah, yep.
Okay. So so we were talking about this past year and that you just missed out on the championship. From what I could see, you got second in points overall for the series. So
Yeah.
you're saying that you have a good chance for the championship this year.
Absolutely.
So what do you think is helping build on your success over the years in this car to where you feel confident enough that you're going to possibly win a championship this coming year? We froze again.
Oh, almost back. There you are. You're back.
Okay. We lost Michelle here. Oh, she's back.
We're back.
Okay. I don't know what happened. You just all of a sudden disappeared. So, but so I was asking about the success leading to the, into 2025. What is giving you that confidence to think about a championship this year?
Oh,
Froze.
did you catch any of that?
No, it froze up again. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought it did. I was looking at you. I'm like, maybe he can hear me. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to just saying confidence with the car. I'm going to be hooked up with a team closer to home where we can have a little better access to the car. And that's going to be at Nate Clower Motorsports. Good 30 minutes from us. You may have heard of them, the shock specialties and suspension specialists, that sort of deal. We'll still be in sister team with Jefferson Racing and Chris Evans, and all collaborate together. But having the car housed within an hour of my home location, we can test this winter. We can get out to Sonoma. We're going to get out to Buttonwillow because that starts our season. I've never been there. So we've got some good testing plans.
Okay, we froze again. I apologize to our listeners. I don't know what's happening here. Oh,
Yeah,
there,
but good.
there, you're back again. So the follow-up question to that is Nate Clower Motorsports. You raced a one of their super late models or pro late models this summer, and you pitted next to a young 14-year-old female driver named Kylie Glick. And
Yes.
Kylie is partnered with our podcast. Our logo's on her car, and then we do a weekly Kylie Glick race report for her on our podcast to help promote her and her racing
Perfect.
team and stuff. And I know Kylie mentioned, and she showed us some pictures from that race. It was September, I believe it was the first responders race. And he froze again here. The first responder race. And at that race, were you able to talk with Kylie about racing and give her any advice?
Sure. Yeah, we definitely got to talk quite a bit about racing, life, everything. She's got the world ahead of her between having a family that backs her, being on Nate Clower's team is as professional as they get, especially, well, not especially anywhere in the country. The reality of it is these kids are so sharp now. Their social media presence is so key. They know how to talk. They know how to, pump their sponsors, stuff that we never had any even now don't have a whole lot of exposure to or practice with. So when I watch her and I see how she presents herself and her family and the team and the sport that she loves, it's a no-brainer that she will go far for sure. I just hope the right backing comes to her in her due time, and patience is a big thing, and I think they get that. I know they get that.
Yeah, that's what we've told her. The most seat time that you can get, and we, like, before we started the podcast tonight, we even talked about this, that it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's seat time and you're racing something. You're working on your craft and getting better. So I agree. She's, for being her first year in a full-bodied race car, she won the junior late model track championship at All American Speedway, and then started 2 pro late model Cars Tour races. And one was at Las Vegas, the bull ring. And thank you. And she never saw the track before, never raced it, ends up qualifying P4 and finishing, I think it was P8 in the race.
Yeah, she's top 10.
I mean, that right in of itself tells you the natural talent that she has as a driver. And when we talk to, like, her spotter has said that she is responsive and easy to teach, and that she listens, which a lot of kids nowadays don't do that.
Right.
Right. And I was a member of a race team here in the Midwest for a few years before my health got bad. And I, being around some of these younger kids that their parents pay for everything. They don't work on the car, and they are super cocky, and then they get out on the track and they will drive over their head, wreck somebody, damage their stuff. But they don't get the concept of, if I damage my your stuff and my stuff, I have to pay for. I'm not paying for mine. My dad takes care of it or whatever. You have to pay for yours. And it's that respect thing that a lot of these young kids don't have, and they don't listen. And she obviously is raised by a great family. She's a very, very smart kid based on just the conversations we've had. We've never met her family or her in person. But just talking on our podcast with them, or on phone calls or Zoom or whatever, just seem like great people. And that's why we partnered with them, because we believe in her.
Your efforts are definitely worth your effort with Kylie.
I agree 100%. She her goal is to be in NASCAR someday, and honestly, I think she will make it. I honestly think she will.
Yeah.
As long as she keeps on the path that she is and continues to work hard, learn how to work on the car, how it functions, and does the seat time.
And that's the
She's
other
got
thing I like about Kylie. She's down at the race shop a lot. She's down there
yes,
putting stickers and helping and wanting to learn and paying attention. And I did notice how she respects her crew and these guys that put a lot of their time and life into that race car.
yeah, 100%. That's what we joked about. She's always bringing them cookies or donuts or
Yeah, and they're
or
darn
whatever,
good cookies.
brownies, blondies, whatever. And
Yeah.
we're always
She knows
joking
how to
about it.
sweeten them up.
Yep, sweeten them up. So, but yeah, you're right. I mean, respecting the people helping you get there too along the way
Yeah,
goes a long way too, because they're going to be more willing to want to work with you and help you succeed. So,
absolutely.
yeah. So, but to follow up on that, just besides Kylie, other than Kylie, what would you say or for advice for a young person? I know you said about the social media presence and seat
Mhm.
stuff, but what else would you say to a young person that is getting into the sport of racing? What advice would you give them?
Like we say, it goes down to having patience, being disciplined, staying focused. Like you said, a lot of these kids' parents, and some of them do it on their own with outside money. And I know Kylie gets a lot of outside help. And then, it's hard to do this deal. The racing, like the other gentleman said that was on before you, it's not cheap. It's an expensive sport, no matter what level you're at, where you're at, and how you're doing it. But the key is to be able to do it and to keep it as fun as possible. And I know that always is said, and we all go through that. I don't know how many times we're going to quit, but we're back next week, right? Because we
Right.
have a passion for what we do. We want to win. We don't want to go to the track just to be there and to be a filler. We want to take steps to always better ourselves. And I think as long as most of these kids learn from everything that is around them, good and bad, and a race weekend situation on and off the track, it all reflects.
One of the things that I asked Kylie is obviously she's in a male dominated sport. And,
right.
So I asked her, how does she dealing with that, male competitors and to earn their respect. So, how do you do that? I mean, I'm sure it's not easy because,
Oh,
males have egos and they don't want to be beat by a girl or a woman.
yeah.
And,
Yeah. No, it's really changed over the years. There's so much female presence now in all sorts of racing that it's opened a lot of doors. It is a great thing. You have to have a little bit of a thick skin. They're still going to say something maybe mean or whatever, especially as kids in your junior classes or whatever. But you just got to let that stuff roll off. You say you got to be there for yourself, for your family, for your sponsors, but most of all for yourself. You got to know, when I say that, I don't mean to sound selfish, but if you're not 100% there, you're not doing justice for everybody else that's working around you.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent way to excellent statement. I mean, to me, Danica Patrick probably was one of the female drivers in NASCAR that didn't really put up with other people's crap.
Right.
I like, for example, I remember an incident with Denny Hamlin where she just went after him, and that was cool to see. That she was sticking up for herself and
right.
not putting up with any of the crap. And just because I'm a female, you're not going to boss me around.
Well, you know what's funny? You don't think of yourself as a female when you're going through anything with any of these guys or disputes or disagreements or whatever, especially on the racetrack. I don't think of them as just anything but another race car. I don't care who's in it. Everybody has emotions racing. It's the most emotional sport I've ever done. The highs and lows, and This guy might have not done that on purpose, but he might have. So you keep that in the back of your mind, unfortunately, and you just always pay attention. You just need to pay attention. Stay humble. There's always going to be somebody better than you. Learn from them and learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, and again, that I agree with you 100% about, thinking yourself as an equal, because you are. You're another race car driver. Doesn't matter what your sex is. You're a race car driver.
You
So,
want to win. You're there to win just as bad as they are.
right, absolutely, I agree. And one of the cool things we had a young girl that was interested in getting involved in motorsports, and we brought her in on our team, and we taught her how to work on the car, and doing stuff at the track and that type of stuff. And she ended up ultimately marrying one of the race car drivers that we raced against. But it was fun watching, because she started when I think she was like 14 years old, and seeing that drive and wanting to go to, after she got out of college, to University of Northern Ohio to go to school to learn how to be a NASCAR crew member, mechanic, whatever, and that type of stuff. That was cool to see, and I think it's awesome that there are more females involved in the sport of racing.
There's a lot of good ones.
Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome. And a lot, a majority of them are better than a majority of the guys that are in the sport, to be honest with you. And it might have something to do with they have big egos, and the guys do, and they think, whatever. Either way, but you know what I'm saying. I'm getting at.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just being humble in racing is a big thing, because you can do really well, but some little mistake, it can humble you pretty quick.
The old saying, "You're only as good as your last race," is that's what sticks with you.
Yep, absolutely, I agree. So I know you're busy, and I know you were in the waiting room for a long time, and it's just been an issue with the internet and stuff. So, and I apologize, but so what social media platforms are you on? And then do you have hero cards or merch or anything like that you sell that any fans would purchase, or how would they go about doing that?
My social media sites are basically just for Facebook and Instagram. Michelle Nagai Racing for Facebook, and Michelle.Nagai1 for Instagram. What else would it be on? I don't have a website, but I would say Facebook is the best one. Hero cards, I don't have any merchandise, but I do have hero cards, and those are free.
Okay. And then what are your plans for 2025?
So 2025 plans are actually looking really positive. I'm excited about the whole situation of having the car housed here, like we said, at Mike Nake's shop. So we plan on running the entire 2025 Trans Am season, West Coast, with that team. Depending on the schedule, when All American Speedway gets their super late schedule out that John Moore's putting together, another competitor that we run Trans Am with, we're gonna fit some of those in. We're gonna piece some in like we did last summer to fill in the gaps, because we get a little bit of a summer gap sometimes, and we want to stay in shape and stay frosty to, like you said, stay behind the wheel. So that's the plan with that. And with a little luck, we'll hit a road course race with our super late model stock cars. I do that as well sometimes with a series called GAS, Great American Stock Car Series. And there's fastest road in the West, they call it, Willow Springs Raceway down in by LA, by Palmdale. So we hope to hit that at the last race of the year in November.
Okay, are those like old vintage cup cars?
No, they're not vintage. They're still like the super lates we circle track race with.
Oh, really?
They're straight up. They're neutral, and they made the road race. They're the perimeter chassis, as we call them, so they're a lot easier to pass out, not so much left side weight.
Right. Oh, that's cool. I'll have to check that out. I never knew that they did that.
Series comes and goes. It's been transitioning period, so we're hoping it's still up and kicking next year at this time.
So, any plans to do any of the Cars Tour West races? I know Kevin Harvick is really got the Cars Tour West thing going and established for 2025.
Right.
Even though what was it? Is it Irwindale Speedway that's shutting down? I think it was.
Irwindale is shutting down, but Kern, which Kevin Harvick
Kern
and
is,
some
yeah,
others own now, that's going to be up and running and probably be boosting. I would think they're going to have good car counts, good fan counts, because of Irwindale closing, especially.
yeah.
So,
I was bummed when I saw
yeah,
Irwindale was closing.
and they never got
Historic
to drive
track.
a half. Yeah, well, it's a half mile, and there's not a lot of half mile tracks left in California. It's a problem. They're all quarter and third mile, real short track stuff, real bouldering stuff.
Yeah.
So if I was to ever consider doing any of the car races, I would want to do it on a half mile. I wouldn't want to do it on a smaller short track. I like the idea of getting up to speed and have a little more
The
room.
higher speed and
Yeah,
stuff.
and
Yeah.
with the road racing, I think you're used to having a lot of room. You're doing 175 at the end of COTA straightaways, so it's a whole different feel.
Yeah, I know it's crazy. I was telling you before, I'm from Southeast Wisconsin. My home track is Road America, and they're coming down. There's to turn 5, which is a 90-degree turn. They're going like crazy, 150 to 160,
Oh yeah,
and they're braking, doing in a 90-degree turn.
that's where that confidence comes in.
Yeah, and then they're going back uphill to a blind corner, 90-degree corner again.
Right?
And it's nuts. That's where my favorite place is to watch, because they have a screen there, and then they have a speedometer thing on the screen that shows how fast the cars are going and
We
their
do that at
braking
Laguna.
speeds.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
It's crazy.
It
How
is.
it's like, yeah, it's just nuts. I mean, just thinking, being in that position in the car, I tried iRacing at Road America, and it was not successful. I wasn't too great with iRacing. I thought, oh yeah, this will be fun. Yeah, no, I was better on an oval than a road course. But
it's probably easier in real life in a real car at a road course, to be honest with you.
well, I'm sure it probably is. I'm sure it probably is.
But
So
that is definitely one of the tracks. If I was to ever get to go back east, it would be on the list.
yeah, I'm honest. It is a state park with a racetrack in it. It is it is amazing.
Beautiful. Yeah,
it is really truly beautiful, and one of the famous racetracks. A lot of drivers, in NASCAR are bummed because they bumped it off the schedule to go to Chicago to the street race, which is cool. I was salty about it because I love Road America. We lost the race, but after I saw the Chicago street race, I'm like, oh, okay, this is actually sort of cool. And then now I think this year they're going to Mexico, I think. So I'm crossing my fingers that maybe in 2026 they come back to Road America. So
at least Xfinity. I like to watch Xfinity cars.
I mean I might go this year to the the Trans Am race at Road America, because they're all fun.
If you can make the Trans Am at Road America, that's a real popular weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed it in 2021 when they were there with NASCAR, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of Cup drivers ran TA cars that year, the TA2 cars, because they've never ran Road America. That was the first year they came back there. So, but yeah, it's a fun track. So, I don't know. I'm a fan of road racing.
Good.
A lot of people aren't, but
I know.
I don't like left and right turning, but I think it's awesome.
Of it. Yeah, I think what I liked about it the most are the speeds for sure, and the busyness of the shifting, and I don't know, the transition, and that to me, once you get through an S's and you see a track open up, and you can hammer down for, I don't know, 15, I don't know, maybe 10 seconds down the back straight at COTA and pull those kind of speeds out. That's the adrenaline rush. I think that keeps me going a lot.
Yeah, and I think, in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in a road racer, your skill and your craft has to be on point. I mean, you're braking you're
Mhm.
downshifting, you're upshifting, you're speeding up, slowing down. You got to
Yeah.
make sure your braking points are at the right spot and all that stuff. And I
Right.
think your skill and craft level shows more in road racing than it does actually on an oval track,
It
because you're
does
doing a lot
because,
more.
yeah, like you say, because you are so much busier. There's so much room for error. I
Right.
mean,
Oh,
one and two
absolutely.
downshift, guys are always wheel hopping. You hear wheel hop that all
Yep.
the time. You know, it doesn't have to happen, but either you don't know or you get lazy or your tires start going away and you get light on fuel at the end of a race. Yeah, you got to really pay attention, like you say. The
Right.
cars change dramatically. We start out with like I think it's like a 37-gallon fuel cell or 35 in these cars now to make that 75-minute duration. So the change of speeds, I mean, you probably drop in over 2 seconds by the time the race ends, just because everyone's wore out, and you are sometimes too.
Oh, I bet. And that's the other thing I was going to ask. So, like,
Training.
Trans Am racing is a timed race. It's not laps per se, correct?
It's
It's
well, it's whatever comes first.
oh, okay.
For instance, it'll be 100 laps or 75 minutes.
Okay.
Or I'm not 100 laps, 36 laps, depending on the track, whatnot, depending on the duration of the track. You know, you got 2-mile tracks or 100 miles.
Yeah.
So 75 minutes, 100 miles, or X amount of laps for the track.
Okay. So it's one or the other, either way. So
Yeah. But either way, you finish under green pretty much, almost always.
yeah.
Just
And no pit stops, like you said. So it's
no pit stops, which is good. Keeps the cost way down. I'll be honest. That would hurt us if we had to do pit stops.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because then you would have to have extra crew there and
Yeah, you know, you'd have to get 5, 6 other guys, the gear that goes with it, the safety gear, the fuel tank, the whole bit. It
Yep.
goes on and on.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
So the sprint race is a ticket for us. 2025 is looking good, and you know, I appreciate you having me on your show. This was a good time tonight. Thanks.
oh, I appreciate it too. I apologize for the technical difficulties.
Yeah, you know,
It seems like it always
usually
happens to me when I'm the one that's doing the show.
you're on the
I
spot.
don't know why, but I guess it's because I'm the oldest of all the three of us, and I'm the most computer illiterate. So I guess I can blame myself for that. So, but either way, thanks for being a great sport. Thank you so much for being on. We greatly appreciate it. Have a great 2025, and we'll have you back on again, hopefully here in the near future, so we could talk about a 2025 championship.
Yeah, I would love to come back. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. Take care. Happy
Thank you so
holidays. Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas and hello to Bobby.
Thank you. Take care.
Take
Have
care.
a good night.
Good night.
Well, I like to transition to segment 2. Was brought to you by Spartan Waste. I apologize to our viewers. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if it was my internet or her internet, but whatever. I really apologize that it didn't run so smoothly. I feel really bad. To thank Michelle again for her time and the information that she provided. And I also thank excuse me, I'm going to cough. Craig Mintz, also for his time tonight. Segment 3, the Xfinity Series race recap for Jeremy Clements Racing. Obviously, it's the off season for NASCAR. However, recently there was a social media post about the yearly Thanksgiving. I'm sorry, Christmas parade in Spartanburg, South Carolina. One of Jeremy's race cars being wrapped with an awesome Christmas livery designed by Michael Maselli. And Fox Sports Spartanburg, Ryan Delaney, and then Spartan Waste, Mark Mullins and Mark Nelson are the ones that sponsored that car for the parade. It looks awesome. I don't know when the date is of that parade, but I'm sure it's coming up here real soon. But all us enjoy seeing the pictures of from the parade and the car, and we'll transition into segment 4, the Kylie Glick Racing Report race recap. Oh, I'm sorry. Segment 3 was brought to you by Action RV. Segment 4, Kylie Glick Racing Recap, brought to you by Nordic Logistics. It's the off season for Kylie as well. She's busy working on her cars at the shop at Nick Clower Motorsports. Again, she's going to be racing in the Pro Late Model this year in the Cars Tour West Series. If you're interested in purchasing any of Kylie Glick's racing merchandise, go to her social media page and find her recent post where you click on the link and it will bring you to her merchandise site. You can get this cool racing hat, Kylie Glick Racing. There's some sunglasses, and then actually just the other day, Kylie sent Dave, Bobby, and I this awesome customized flag that she customized to us, signed, and says thanks for your support. And it says Junior and Pro Rookie of the Year, and then 2024 Junior Late Model Champion. So thanks, Kylie and family, for the awesome package that you sent Dave, Bobby, and I. We appreciate your support as well, and wish you a great off season. And on that note, our next show is going to be next Tuesday, December 10th, 2024, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Again, I apologize for the cluster that this ended up being with the internet issues and freezing, and for some reason not recording right away in the beginning. But either way, we made it through. That's what it matters. We got the good information from our guests, and again, greatly thank them both for being on tonight. Remember, if you're not done so yet, go to stickygears.com, click on their site, buy one of our Area 51 Racing Podcast t-shirts. They're $15 a piece. Portion of that money goes back to Jeremy Clements Racing. You keep Jeremy and his team on the racetrack. If you're looking for some Area 51 Racing Podcast stickers, the small ones are $4. Bigger ones are $8. Get a hold of Bobby on his social media link if you're interested in them. And Golly Beard Products is a partner of Area 51 Racing Podcast. Their products are the official beard products of Bobby, Dave, and I here at Area 51 Racing Podcast. As you can see, I have a beard, and I use their products religiously. And I want to make them say it. Golly. If you go to gollybeard.com, place an order, check out, make sure you put in the code Area 51, and you get 15% off your order and free shipping. And again, remember, make them say it. Golly. Check out the Racing Warehouse website for several new Jeremy Clements hats and other merchandise that they have released. Also, they've been doing live auctions, doing a bunch of sales on different crew shirts, sheet metal, die cast, you name it. They did one last night. They said they're going to be doing more in the coming weeks leading up to Christmas. So check out their social media sites to keep an eye out for that. They're definitely doing some good deals on a lot of some nice stuff. So, and then also I'd like to thank not only the Racing Warehouse, but also their clothing company, Armadillo Apparel, who make the polo shirts that we had. And then also they make other merchandise that you can order through them. So check out their site as well. Also, reminder, Driven Trackside. Remember, they have a pre-order up for the Miami Homestead crew shirt. That was the Flying Forum Racing Miami retro look crew shirt. The pre-order is up until December 7th. So make sure you go to Driven Trackside or Driven Sunglasses and do your pre-order there before December 7th. At this time, I'd like to thank our sponsors who make this podcast possible. This is episode 49. It's crazy to think this is December 5th, I believe it will be exactly 1 year since we started this podcast. So grateful for all our viewers, listeners, and our sponsors. Now that we have our podcast up on Spotify, I think I have 35 episodes out of it'll be 49 uploaded. I will continue to work on that. Hopefully this week I will have all of them uploaded to Spotify. They'll also be on Podbean. And then at any time you can also listen to them and watch them on our YouTube channel or social media. So thanks to our partners who make this possible: Spartan Waste, 98.3 FM Fox Sports Spartanburg, Impel Union, Alliance Driveway Solutions, First Pacific Funding, Elite Towing and Recovery, Whitetail Smokeless, Flying Forum Concrete Structures, Runner's Roost, Mattman Designs, Action RV, Booze Pops, Nordic Logistics, Winds Etc., Anna Memore Designs, Gale, Sherfa Companies, High Speed Auto, Enigma Tattoo, Kylie Glick Racing, and Jeremy Clements and Jeremy Clements Racing. Without all of them, this definitely would not be possible. And again, because I'm running solo tonight and I am computer illiterate, like I've said multiple times tonight, fortunately, I'm not going to be able to do the Boost Pops outro. Apologize, Woody, but I can just say rock out with your Boost Pop out, as it says in the jingle. So everybody, I appreciate you joining in tonight. Again, sorry for the cluster episode, the issues recording and freezing internet, but we got through it, and this will be the end of episode 49. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining in. Have a great night and happy holidays. We'll see you next week.